I will begin by saying a few words on our organization. This will let you have an idea of our decision-making process. Our organization is simple. At the top is the Supreme Council, which is the heads of state, and presides over the Ministerial Council, which is the members of which are the ministers of foreign affairs of all member states. And they convene by the charter 4 times quarterly, 4 times a year. And they also oversee various ministerial committees, almost 48 ministerial committees. That's at the minister's level, in the area of economic, social, and political. And they coordinate with the Joint Defense Council and the Ministers of Interior Council. These are the 2 councils for defense and security. Also my own organization, which is the General Secretariat, and we support the system. In addition, we have 13 Gulf social organizations encompassing such areas as health, labor, social affairs, education, etc. They all report to the heads of state. Yemen, by the way, is member in all of those 13 social organizations. In talking about Yemen, it's important to realize that as Yemen's only direct neighbors, the GCC and Yemen have strong historic, cultural, and geographic ties. We have been closely involved economically, socially, and financially to help Yemen to rise to a higher level of development. Sadly, as you all know, by late 2010, Yemen was on the verge of collapse, with all out civil war. Really, it was a birth away. Something needed to be done. In early 2011, the GCC Supreme Council, heads of state, directed that communication be opened between GCC and the government of Yemen and the opposition. 5 meetings took place. Actually, I was in office. I was assigned on the 2nd of April. On the 3rd of April, we had the first meeting on Yemen at the ministerial level, Ministerial Council. In 1 month, we had 5 Ministerial Council meetings that took place by the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, and some of them were with the Yemenis. Of course, they were unscheduled meetings to discuss Yemen and see the way ahead, way forward. Just to give you an example of how serious the ministers of foreign affairs were about the issue and trying to help really Yemen, in 8 months, the Ministerial Council convened for in 8 months, 11 times, 11 meetings. They were very much concerned, and that commitment really was a driver for all of our effort. The meetings with the Yemeni government and with the opposition in April 2012 resulted in the initial GCC initiative. We worked with the Yemenis. In our part of the world, in the tribal culture, a mediator needs to listen to both parties, and once it is understood by the mediator what the problem is and what are the interests of all, a proposed solution can be given. And once it's given, it is, you out of respect, you adhere to it, or you take it or just leave it. There is no way of trying to adjust it. We had to come up with principles initially. And those principles we had to stick to. And those principles have to be agreed by both parties. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. The principles were 5 principles. They all agreed on. And I'm sure you are aware of, but just to remind you of them, the first is to maintain the sovereignty, the security, safety, and unity of Yemen. The second is to achieve the aspiration of the Yemeni people. The third principle is removing all signs of violence. Of course, they are not in order of violence from the streets. And the fourth principle is a peaceful transfer of power. And the fifth principle is immunity for the president and all who worked with him during his era. It is an exit strategy for also the president. There were 2 phases of implementation. It was also in the initiative. First phase is the transfer of power. And the second phase is conducting the national dialogue leading to a new constitution and an election. Following this consensus, intensive, and I have to say often difficult negotiation commenced under I participated and lasted until the signing of the Gulf Initiative on the 23rd of November 2011 in Riyadh. I believe that the agreement represents a successful model of mediation leading to a peaceful transfer of power or a peaceful resolution of the crisis. It is therefore worth considering the factors involved, which I have grouped under 3 headings: relating to the GCC, factors related to the situation in Yemen, and those related to the international support. Factors related to the GCC, our heads of state played prominent and influential behind-the-scenes role. GCC were the ideal negotiators or mediators because of the ties we talked about. Trust was there. And when we talk about trust, I'd like here just to elaborate a bit. And we were cautious about it during the mediation. You have to be truthful. And you have to be seen truthful. You have to show respect to all. You have to be consistent and safe. You have to indicate that it is safe to discuss and exchange ideas. And you need to be transparent. I think these are factors that can build and maintain the trust. At an early stage, we identified the most important opposition parties, and they were treated as representing the various opposition factions. The GCC, from the top down, displayed determination and patience to ensure the 5 principles remained intact. I was discussing and coordinating directly with the members of the ministerial councils, and I got their support. Factors that are related to the situation in Yemen. A sense of hopelessness and fear of civil war was there, generated a shared desire by the ruling party and opposition for a peaceful solution. Yemen's opposition is organized and well-rooted, which assisted in identifying negotiators. Both parties demonstrated flexibility, but the principles stood intact. Yemenis have a reputation of pragmatism, which helped the negotiations and led to the solution of peace over chaos. Factors related to the international support. The process had the full support of the regional and international community. Ambassadors were involved in the negotiations, ambassadors on the ground, especially the GCC ambassadors, the United States ambassador, UK, EU, all the P5 were involved, but the US and the UK and EU were more closer and more active